Tom, could you repeat after me?
Yeah.
I, Tom Kelly,
Jesus Christ. I, Tom Kelly,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to drop steaming hot takes
to drop steaming hot takes
whenever humanly possible.
whenever humanly possible.
All right, let's start the show.
Okay. Is that what we're going with every week now?
I don't know. I was going to do it until you stop laughing, at least. It gets me kind of psyched up.
Yeah, I need
Not
to
that the show ever produces takes worthy of being deemed of an abnormally high temperature or anything, but
I know.
Anyway.
I know. I feel like I need to be doing better.
Well,
It's like too much pressure.
Let's sign a memorandum of understanding moving forward that we're going to hold ourselves to a higher standard. You said you had some housekeeping to do based on last week's Taylor Swift Reputation album review? I'm anxious to hear what your notes were.
So when we did the review, I think I only had about 4 days to listen to it, which I still got about a dozen or so spins on it. I think I gave the album an overall thumbs down, but in the past week, I want to tell you what I did. There were a bunch of songs that were just total stinkers, things I couldn't put up with, so I deleted 6 songs from my iPhone. So now it is a 9 or 8 track album, and it is a great album now.
Interesting.
Yeah, I rarely mess with other, with the order of things, and I try to listen to an album how it's supposed to be consumed, but I just deleted a bunch of songs, and now I think it's amazing. And I think Delicate right now is probably my favorite song on the album.
Okay.
And I didn't realize this until the end of the episode when I was talking about how I don't really get the theme of Reputation, and you said something that I wish I understood before I listened to the album, because we both agreed that the rollout of the album and the marketing was kind of misleading as to what the entire album would be like, and
right.
It wasn't until I heard the line in Delicate, which is the best song, my reputation's never been worse, so he must really like me for me. And all of a sudden, Reputation had a totally different meaning for me. I thought it was like, yo, I'm a badass, and this is my badass reputation. But it was like, that wasn't the point, I think. Right? Would you agree?
Yeah, I saw when I was reading about it, reading a few reviews before we did last week's show, someone mentioned that line. Yeah, spot on, Tommy. I think she's. I don't know. My feelings have not changed since we recorded. For everyone who is just tuning in, our legion of new Taylor Swift listeners who may be soon quickly disappointed to learn that this is not a Taylor Swift fan podcast, but can become one.
Sure, if the numbers
due to user demand, certainly. Last week we recorded the album review, and then a few months ago we did a Katy Perry versus Taylor Swift debate on accident. If you want to go back at elemental.fm and check those episodes out.
Episode 31
I forget if I gave
51.
And that's an interesting concept you bring up. I think we all talked about tracks that were hard to find ourselves feeling or really, caring about. We kind of talked about that last week, but yeah, I agree. I mean, I was just confused by most of what's happened surrounding the album from the launch till now.
Yeah.
And I think when you posted it to the site, the sentiment was it leaves us with more questions than answers, at least in terms of what comes next. So, yeah, I'm not against anything you just said.
I guess I wish I understood. Like, I feel like the rollout leading with "Look What You Made Me Do," it set a tone that wasn't apparent in the whole rest of the album. So they framed this whole thing as...
Well, what were they supposed to do? Be like, hey, Swifties, Taylor Swift's happy in love, and generally everything's going well now. And she sings about it for 14 tracks that are long pop ballads, and she's never really tried this version of pop before. So sit back, buckle in for listening to a very pretty 20-something woman discuss kind of drunky happiness and, you know, being able to afford the activities that come with it. I mean, that's her looking like an absolute train wreck in the video for Look What You Made Me Do, you know, sells it as a little more edgy, but I guess I can understand why they did it, but the album itself is harmless, right? It's just like, everything's swell, and oops, got drunk. I swore for the first time, and, you know, just enjoying the ride, man. Smoke them if you got them.
Yeah, I think it just got me a little confused, especially because as like a music producer and as a songwriter, those are the things I listen to first. I listen to the lyrics and try to find the meaning in them. It's the absolute last thing I do. So maybe I didn't have time to really absorb the meaning of the album, and it kind of colored my perception of it. And I just wanted to say that things have changed a little bit, I guess, now that there's a deeper understanding of the whole concept of the album. But I think the rollout was very misleading. I
agree, but I understand why they did it.
Yeah, same, for sure. But that's all I have to say. I just wanted to give a quick follow-up for all the Swifties out there.
That's right.
Swift heads. I don't know.
That's interesting. We should put that. Should we start pretending like there's a third person in the room with us, even though we're miles apart, and just tell them to put stuff on the poll, like a radio? Like, put it on the poll. What do you think?
Put it on the poll.
What do Taylor Swift fans go by?
Oh, speaking of polls, ours ended. I don't know if you saw that.
The one that said you should move to Cincinnati?
Yeah. Overwhelming number of votes. And
by
that I mean 4 or 5. Let me find. God, I'm on so many Twitter accounts.
No, that's okay.
You know what? No, I'm gonna do it.
Okay, so basically, for everybody who has been listening the past couple weeks, we've done some strong, like, more effort into the show than we've ever done. So if you're like listening to us for the first time, please go listen to our either Tom DeLonge episode or Taylor Swift episode from the past 2 weeks. This is a housekeeping episode. Tom is deciding whether or not to move, and the holidays are coming, and everyone's just feeling like it's a bit much. What was that tweet the other day that I sent to you? Like, the guy was thinking about starting an unpopular podcast that is also bad, that is also hosted by two white men, that is also about them being sad sometimes, etc., etc. And the comments were just... Anyway, I couldn't tell. I was on the fence about sending that to you, whether or not you'd view it as funny or...
It was really depressing. People were like, AKA any podcast ever. It was like, damn, dude. Like, people hate podcasts.
They do.
I get it.
Are there enough podcast hosts in the world to support each other? I guess is the question. Are there at least 10,000 people recording themselves on a weekly basis that listen to everyone else? And it's just this giant micro community. Hopefully. Anyway, so that is what today's episode is about. Where should Tom Kelly move? It's kind of like where in the world is Carmen Sandiego, but less exciting, and we will know exactly what your trip would look like and where you are currently. So, unfortunately, we were unable to book Rockapella, which is a very sad thing. They will not be in the studio with us. Our apologies. But that was a great part of that show. They just kind of come in on skateboards and just be like, "Do it, Rockapella!" Whoa! Also, where's Carmen, man? But also, that was a nice acapella rendition of fucking, I don't know, Train's first hit or something. I don't know. Anyway,
Train. I've seen them so many times.
I think I knew that. Anyway, we could explore that. Certainly. But yeah, I was going to let you take the reins a bit. I think I've said that like 17 weeks in a row. I think I'm going to let you handle this one, Tom. But yeah, so what did you... First of all, I think it's worth letting everybody know that you and your fiance are going to get married soon. You were not engaged when we started the show a year ago. You are now. And then in June, late June, you're planning to go to Vermont for reasons that are still unclear to me, to get married because neither of you are from there. And that is on the horizon, as is a move somewhere, probably, given the cost of living. And this is just my interpretation of the situation. And if you follow us at _reminiscent FM on Twitter, let us know where you think Tom should go and why. But yeah, there's something on the horizon. What's this week's? What's the diagnosis this week, doctor? I'll never do that again. That was the fucking weirdest feeling. I'll never call you doctor again. I'm sorry.
So
even doc would have been bad. I'll stop talking.
So the thing with moving, all right, so for anyone who hasn't listened since episode 1.
Can you edit out the part where I say doctor, actually?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I never edit anything out of the show.
I noticed that. You took advantage of me not listening for months, and then I was like, oh my God. Just half of what we record is requests of me asking you to make it drastically shorter.
So, in regards to the move, maybe we'll get to the wedding stuff later. I moved to Denver almost exactly a year ago. We moved here almost randomly. We both knew that we liked mountains. But other than that, neither of us have been to Denver. We don't know anyone here. And we knew that it was kind of this like cool up and coming place, right? But we didn't realize that it had come already. It had already came. And
what had already came? What?
Denver, in terms of a growing city.
You were unaware of this. Did you ask anyone that was conscious in America?
So we came from the DC area, and we figured,
which, as many people know, that is also a city in which many people live to this very day in America.
Right, right. Thank you.
A bustling metropolis.
Thank you for
with
clarifying.
A subway system and all. Very clean subway system.
Ooh, really?
Comparatively.
So we thought, coming from, outside of DC, there's no way it can be as expensive, and there's no way the traffic can be as bad. And it's pretty fucking comparable, man. I
was going to but you did not answer my question of...
Sure.
I mean, I know it was let's do a crazy life adventure. But did you actually not ask anybody, or...
No.
About... Okay.
We kind of jumped blindly.
Did we not discuss it at length on the show?
I don't know.
Or I guess you had made the decision to move.
I had moved here 2 days before we started this podcast.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, we kind of left.
So if you had to guess at the time, like the most rents that had shot up the most drastically in the last 10 years, what cities would you have guessed before you moved?
Austin, for sure. Maybe Portland.
Okay. Right.
And yeah,
I guess that's my point. But Denver was not included in that. Somehow.
No, and I knew that it was expensive, but I just thought there's no way it could compare to Arlington, Virginia, and DC prices. And it's almost exact. Well, it's slightly cheaper, maybe 10 to 15% cheaper, but it's still drastically out of my price range. Or maybe not, but I don't want to spend this much on rent. And I think the problem with Denver is it is way too cool for me, or it's a lot cooler than I am. And when I say that, I mean I don't smoke pot, so that huge advantage for a lot of people doesn't apply to me. I don't like the sun, and I don't like going outside. So having it be this beautiful, amazing outdoorsy place, I don't care. So those
are two of the big draws for maybe the average person, and if we're wrong, tweet the show. But
and
the ability to put some in the air and get crunchy and go on a hike, right? Is that, do people get? I'm sorry, I'm already.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not gonna go outside in my free time, mainly because I work outside. I kind of just want to like sit down and be in a climate controlled environment.
You'd mentioned before that, but I thought you weren't outdoorsy. You definitely post to social media as if you're outdoors a lot.
I mean, I think that in the past I was more
would you say
so.
really knows you, man? Do you even really know yourself?
No.
Bum, bum, bum.
So there's those things, right? And there's a great microbrewery scene, and I don't give a shit about drinking. I'm not going to do that. There's a great club scene. I don't go out. There's all these things that would be cool if I were cool, and all those things that are cool make this place super expensive. And since I don't take advantage of all those things that actually make this a great place, why pay for it? It's kind of the mentality that I'm in right now. Does that make sense?
Okay, so we are going to play a game show called Where Should Tom Live? And we're going to run back through the desirable qualities you would want in a future place of residency. Is this something you are willing to be participating in?
It is, but I gotta interrupt you here. So Kyle, who's gonna be doing the Nintendo podcast, knows that I record around 6 and is just sending me the craziest gifs right now, saying you're probably recording, and it's just a bunch of gifs of people making fart noises. And I just gotta say, I appreciate you, man.
That's a good way to get. Maybe he's doing like guerrilla marketing for his own show.
It's brilliant, Kyle. Keep it up.
Yeah, that's right.
You
might as well tease their show while we're at it.
Ooh, you know what? I've got a lot to say about their show, and might save that for the end.
Sounds good. Basically, the Elemental FM Tom's network that he started and coerced me into joining him on this show by brutal force, is growing by 1. And now there will be 4 shows?
Yeah.
And I guess more on that later. But the people that are going to do that Nintendo show or video game show, they live in Cincinnati, which is a detail that may come up in the meantime. But
yes.
Without further ado, would you like to play Where Should Tom Live?
Where should Tom live?
Again, no rockapella. Apologies to the listeners. All the fans of the Monkees and Taylor Swift who are listening to this show for very musically specific reasons. No rockapella. Yes, but okay. Question 1.
Okay.
I really was overly ambitious. I didn't have one ready. So you don't like to go outside?
Not really.
So you're okay with the weather being bad for some of the year? Is that fair to say?
I mean, it was 10 degree or 20 degrees and kind of snowing, raining here, so it's bad here too. So yeah, I can put.
And you don't like the desert?
No, not really. No.
Okay, so you don't. Is there a climate you had in mind? So you wouldn't take advantage of the mountains or the sun or hiking,
right?
So it sounds like the Southwest, the Northwest, and the Southeast also are done. So we have 1 left. Okay, so we have 25% of America left in play.
Basically, like my ideal weather situation is total overcast and about 60 degrees, like perfect shorts.
So you would want to
move
to anywhere between, although you wouldn't want the rain, I guess, but you could go to the Pacific Northwest and go to find some small town that's never quite hot, never quite freezing.
Right.
Like, although San Francisco would be on the list of terribly expensive places.
Right.
Portland and Seattle, etc. Okay, so the cost of living also we have to keep in mind.
Yes.
Okay, what's the next defining factor?
Yeah, well, cost of living for sure. And honestly, like I don't want to make a move just to be around people I'm already familiar with, because I think that meeting new people help you develop as a person.
Have you done that in the last year?
No. Well, I mean, I met a few people that are like Megan's friends, from work that I really like, but the thought of like finding like a best friend, like I already know that no one that I ever meet will ever compare to like you and Zach because of like what we've gone through as kids, knowing each other for like 15 years. But like the thought of meeting someone who would be more than like a casual acquaintance seems difficult. I know it's not impossible, especially because like I met Kyle a year ago, and I think we're like super good friends. So like it could, I don't know, dude. It can happen, but I don't even know what I'm saying at this point. I think making friends is hard, is what I'm saying. So I think like,
But you don't want to move anywhere where you already know anybody.
No. I'm saying I that's not what my entire decision is based on. Although the fact that you and Kyle and Kylie are in Cincinnati does sound very appealing.
I guess it was cruel of me just to disguise me slowly wanting to convince you over time, or at least convince yourself to move to Cincinnati in the form of a game show, was borderline cruel. But you probably knew what you were entering into. You have listed a very strange amount of do's and don'ts. I mean, does it hurt Cincinnati's case that it does have a good beer scene?
No, as long as that beer scene doesn't drive the housing market up.
I would get here before Amazon chooses us as a charity case.
Oh, God.
In Ohio. It's just an absolute... If they somehow deem an Ohio town more sad than Detroit and don't go to Atlanta, D.C., or Boston, the second Amazon headquarters could ruin your chances. No, just kidding. So I don't know. I guess enough with the shtick. Could you see yourself moving here? How does Megan feel? She wanted to go to Asheville, but that you realize that's not going to be, I don't know, perhaps what you think it is.
So, Cincinnati, you've convinced me to like get excited about it at least because you're there. A, Kyle and Kylie. B, the Dungeons and Dragons dudes would be fun to hang out with too. Also, I don't know if I mentioned this on the show, I found like a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom house with a half-acre lot for sale for like $90,000. And it was like fully updated. And to find a house under $400,000 in Denver is impossible. And to put that in perspective, in DC, you're going to spend $500,000, right? So like, it's not much cheaper than the DC area. The traffic is horrible. So to think of like, I can get a nice house for half the price of what I'm paying for this apartment, very appealing. Cincinnati has that going for it. It's got my friends. And also it's like, it's very like woodsy, right? It's like, it's got some green there, lots of trees and stuff. Would you say that's accurate?
Yes.
Yeah. Denver doesn't like...
yes.
Colorado doesn't have that, and it's kind of depressing. We grew up in Pennsylvania, and it's just trees everywhere. And...
Plenty.
And I never realized, like, obviously you learn about different, like, climate zones in whatever class that's in, but you don't think about like the psychological effect of like, damn, there are no trees here and it's brown everywhere. Like it's super depressing.
Yes.
So I don't know. Denver could be cool could be awesome if I were more into the things it has to offer. You know what I mean? Like maybe it's not a good fit for me.
Sure. So here's my other question. Are you and Liz going to do more research this time around?
Liz is not my partner.
That's Zach's wife. Megan.
You always confuse them.
It's because of her Instagram name, Ms. Moonbeam. Like every part,
right.
Everything I would know her by rhymes with any other name in the. So I always think it's Liz Moonbeam, like that's the name of her character in a show or something.
Right.
Yes,
right.
Elizabeth Moonbeam, but I go by Liz.
Megan.
Apologies to Megan.
Oh, it's okay. She doesn't listen.
Zach's wife is Elizabeth.
Yeah.
O'Brien, is it?
Sounds right.
It doesn't really matter. Anyway,
Are we going to do more research?
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
So here's the thing, man. I don't think research would have stopped us from coming here anyways. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Especially because like we didn't even know that there was a pit bull ban in the city. We found that out the day we got here. And we, have a 90-pound pit bull.
You own one, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like with a move, it's such a difficult thing to process mentally that if you do research, you're just adding to. If you do a lot of research, you're kind of just adding to. I don't know. I feel like if we can find good jobs and a decent place to live, that's all I need. Like I have I don't know if the word is primitive or primal needs. Like I just need a place to live and I need a way to make money, and the rest is pretty much just whatever. Because again, I prefer to stay at home on my computer researching how to be a better podcaster and stuff like that. So as long as I can afford the place and I can make money, that's all I really need.
Have you job searched here at all yet?
No, I haven't. I've been super busy with job searching here. Was actually just working on finishing my cover letter and resume before we hopped on the phone. I do need to look into it more, but
what's the timeline? When's your lease up in Denver?
My lease is up in a week and a half, but but we're doing like month to month, and that's another issue. They told us that month to month was only $40 more than what we were paying now, so we signed the agreement for month to month, and then they called us a week ago and was like, hey, the rates change every 3 months and they're about to change. And it was like, what the hell? We haven't even started month to month. We just signed an agreement for an extra $40, and now you're saying it's already changing even though it hasn't started? He's like, yeah, that's just the way it goes. We don't know what the rate is going to be, but we just want to let you know sometimes it does go up by like $200 or $300 a month. But we don't know. That might not happen, but it could happen. I was like, what the fuck, dude? Like, what was the point of this agreement we just signed? Now you're saying it could go up a bunch? Like,
was there a disclaimer? I mean, I guess it doesn't matter. They don't have to care unless you want to take them to court, which I don't know. Either way, the point is you're in Denver, so you're subject to realtors not having to care about whether or not they could fill your spot because they can. Right?
Right, immediately.
They just totally can. So it just doesn't matter. So first order of business would be exiting, right? I mean, does Megan have a front-running location?
Are you talking about like within Denver for another apartment or city?
City. What are her thoughts? Are these only your thoughts, or is this a team effort here?
We haven't talked too much about it. I mean, she said she's open to Cincinnati. Obviously, the price of a house is appealing to her. She wanted to look into Asheville because she lived there for a while, like 8 years ago. And when she went back last year, she was like, man, it was different. It was not the same vibe. I didn't really dig the vibe. But she wanted
it's not a well-kept secret anymore.
Right. So when she went, it still kind of was. But when we were deciding where to move and ended up deciding on Denver, we were looking at Asheville, Seattle, Portland, and Denver, and there wasn't a single job in Asheville for like either of us, really. Which is why we decided to stop, looking further into it.
Right.
But I don't know, man. I don't want to be on the East Coast. I'm over it. Like, I hate it.
What about Asheville is the East Coast for you? It's in the middle of Appalachia.
No, you're right. I don't know.
And Cincinnati's not East Coast either.
I know.
Pittsburgh's not even East Coast.
Yeah, you're right. I guess
DC
you're right.
is, right? The DC to Boston corridor. I mean, that's...
Right.
Is that the region to which you're referring?
Yeah, and I obviously, like, nothing south of Virginia is really anything that I would be interested in either.
Right. And you wouldn't want to go so deep into the Midwest, given all the things you've mentioned.
Right.
Like, would you go to Iowa to escape some of all the stuff you've just listed, or would you go to Cincinnati? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I mean, yeah. Honestly, you being there is the biggest motivator.
All I'm saying is, when you were like, oh well, we looked at Portland and Asheville and Denver, it's just like, okay, I'm seeing a pattern, right? And then you get to one of them and you're like, whoa, the rent is a bit high. This is somehow news to us, but yet we persist. And I don't know, man. It seems like somewhat foolish. Like, people could listen to the show and rag, like, why would anybody convince anybody to move to Ohio? Like, why would anybody move anywhere for the reputation a city has of being cool? You know what I mean? Like, are you going to be cool because you joined what other people thought was the right thing to do at a certain age? Or do you want to not be broke all the time and pay off your debts and be near people you love and be within driving distance of family members that you love? And, I don't know. I guess it's all perspective based, but, man, I don't know. It seems like a more fun, noble challenge to make the place you are cool as opposed to moving to Asheville and drinking more things out of more mason jars. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, at some point you are being marketed to, right? So it just depends what your definition of cool is, and it depends on what you can afford. And there's a lot at play, and everybody's just trying their hardest, granted. So I don't blame anybody for anything I shouldn't say that, but we're all just trying. But I would proceed with caution going down a similar path to what your last move led you to, I guess. Right? Does that make sense? I know I say that every week and in different ways, but and it doesn't have to be Cincinnati. It could be, I don't know, you can move to, I don't know, somewhere, you can move to, I mean, I always say Albuquerque because you would just have to scoot down I-25 and rent would be cheaper, and I'm telling you, it's nice. Not humid, just hot, dry, nice, sunny, good stuff. Good food, good people, nice weather, cheap rent. Anyway, so it doesn't have to be Cincinnati. I'm wondering if I don't know. I want to know what's inside your head, Tom. I hate it when we do the show and I ramble for more than however long it's been.
So I don't know if this counts for anything, but I would never consider Cincinnati if you weren't there, right?
Right. Nor would I have if that wasn't Jesse's only option to get out of New Mexico in the first place.
Right.
So I'm here because I went to Cleveland, which is near Erie, or close enough to Erie to where we grew up. I don't know, whatever. I went there. I liked the sports teams, and I thought Jesse was going to be able to join me, right? But that did not happen for whatever reason with the company she was at, blah, blah, blah. And she said, what if I get to Cincinnati? Can we make that work for a little while and figure something out? So we said yes, and I don't know, it just kind of happened. But I have been, and what I hope to show you when you visit is, I don't know, and there's a lot of history in America, and Cincinnati's a big old American city with a lot of interesting infrastructure and history, and it would be, I'm just excited to see what you think. As far as like perfectly fine places to make your own, it would be at the top of the list. Pittsburgh's kind of a sleeper, I think, probably not even a sleeper. It's a well-known, pretty place to live, river city in the Midwest and things like that.
Right.
But I don't disagree. I'm not like, man, this is the effing place. I don't want to curse because it makes it harder for you to edit. But why not? Why not anywhere, right? I mean, that's not like you can still go to Asheville. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. I'd still try to visit you when I could. Asheville is like a 6-hour drive from Cincinnati, I think. So you could vacation there if you wanted.
Oh, sorry. I had to get up and get my dog to stop barking.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I was saying how Asheville is.
No, I can hear you. I can hear you. I just a little slow to respond. Yeah, I don't know, man.
You could go to Minneapolis and be with Zach.
But then you're in Minneapolis. It's actually funny. A buddy of mine who left work for a month to go do some family stuff in Minnesota just came back today, and he was like, "Oh my God, dude, I can't believe I lived there for so many years."
It's probably perfectly fine, but you might as well be in Denver as terms of like getting back home and stuff, right? It's you start to get pretty far removed from most things at that point. Whereas like Cincinnati is still, let's say a band you wanted to see or a comedian, like we're going to go see John Mulaney in Columbus, and then we're going to go see Brian Regan in Lexington. He's going to the University of Kentucky. Those are all like under 2-hour drives. There's Indianapolis, there's Louisville, there's Columbus, there's, Cleveland is, I think, well, Cleveland's a little farther, but I don't know. It's still in civilization, I guess. You know what I mean? It's before America really starts to stretch out, which is where you're, Eastern time zone and whatnot.
Here, if a band isn't coming to Denver, you're driving like 8 hours to see,
which isn't worth it, right?
City.
I mean,
right,
ever really. I think I drove up to Denver 6 hours to visit with Zach for one night, and I got in trouble with work, but that's a different story for another day, perhaps. Anyway, I saw him for a few hours, and I drove home. And on the way home, I was like, that was hardly worth it. Like I was almost falling asleep. Like it's a tremendous amount of driving. I don't know. The Louisiana purchase was rather ambitious. That's my hot take for the episode. And it's just so much. There's so much of America that is just there. It's just hanging out. Anyway, yes, I would say there's nothing special about Cincinnati, but I don't know. You can do a lot with it. The things it provides, and what really more do you want out of a city?
Yeah, it's a lot to think about. I mean, mainly my entire life is focused on money right now, which people are like, oh, well, money, like it's, don't make everything about that. But I owe so much right now, and I have money in collections.
People who don't have money problems usually say that.
Right. And I either need to make more money or spend significantly less money. I don't spend that much on extraneous stuff. So housing is going to have to come down, and that's not going to happen in Denver. I have potential to pick up some really good side work, like guaranteed money, with someone I met at Podcast Movement who has an editing company, asked me to come on as their second editor. So that could be really nice. Good money to buy the Tesla Model 3 and pay off student loans, that with Cincinnati prices, I'm just thinking that's a good life, man.
How did buying a Tesla Model 3 enter the equation?
That's pretty much my motivation for everything. I mean, I love that car. I work for the company. I love the company, and I want to be a Tesla owner someday, and the only way to do that is to make significantly more money. So that's my motivation. Someday I'll have a Tesla. Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's why Cincinnati's sounding really good. I'm just imagining really good side work, maybe an extra $1,000 a month, and then if I spend $500 less a month on rent or mortgage, I'm sitting pretty, So
I just want to show you. I just want to take you to the top of one of the hills. There's like 7 hills in the area. Take you to the top of one of those. Take you to the top of one of the towers downtown. Just get a look at the river and the city and how it sits and everything is. And maybe look at some Craigslist ads about rent and just like hopefully play those in your dreams subconsciously.
I'm okay with that. I mean, you can sell me as hard as you want, I don't
really want to force it. I want you to want to, Where
else?
I do.
I do.
Make a top 3 real quick if you had to.
Make what?
Make a top 3. Where else would you go? Let's say, can we call Cincinnati a contender?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, where else? We're doing a damn show on where you want to live next, so. And you're going month to month, Tom. We need to make these decisions.
I honestly have no idea, because the only cities I know are going to be the big ones with inflated rent prices. For a while, I thought I should be in Southern California because that's where all the audio and film stuff is happening. But, I'm kind of fighting for a life and career that is independent from all that. So then you don't need to suffer those high prices to be in the middle of that market.
Yes.
The only thing I've thought of is Cincinnati. Like, I don't know.
Well, yeah. You just exhaled. What else is on your mind? Should we talk about wedding stuff now?
The other thing on my mind is it's like I don't know, dude. Just the thought of moving is so exhausting. We have a pretty full 2-bedroom apartment full of stuff. I mean, so much stuff, so much artwork and audio gear, video gear. I just kind of like want to die in this apartment and never have to move anything ever. Like,
Could you throw a bunch of stuff out if you had to?
not really, because the only stuff that like we don't use is just a bunch of art. We have more art than walls right now at this point, and just boxes. I mean, dude, I have boxes of cables, like mic cables and stuff that, you know, I'm kind of thinking when I have a more permanent setup, I can like set the drums up with all the mics and the cables, you know, stuff like that. That's like, you just hold on to it because you know you're going to use it someday. I'm also not like quite hoarder status. I have like a small closet of boxes, but I don't know, dude. We have a lot of stuff. We like to live comfortably, I guess. There's probably some things we can give away or sell, but most of it's stuff that we use. We just use a lot of stuff, you know?
Well, I guess the goal would be in this next move is when you do it and go through with it, to make sure you're at the next spot for a while, right? I guess.
Right, but then, yeah, I also, like, we're going to have to move after the winter, if not sooner, and I don't want to have to sign another year lease if we don't actually like Denver that much.
Well, sign a 6-monther. Move in June or whatever, right before the wedding. Or Jesus.
Yeah.
Move to Vermont. I'm sure rent's cheap there.
Hey, you know, there's a Tesla store in Cincinnati.
Oh yeah.
I can just transfer.
Yeah. Oh really?
Wait. Yeah. Okay. It's a service center. It's not a. Or is it? It might be a retail location. Yeah, Tesla Motors opening new store in Greater Cincinnati. Oh, dude.
When is it opening?
2015.
Oh, cool. So it should be open.
Yeah, it should be. Something to think about, for sure.
So I'm going to say Vermont is the second place. Why are you getting married there again? I need the answer.
Okay.
I need the answer.
Okay, so the reason we're getting married in Vermont, Megan's dad has a ski condo there, and when we were thinking of like where to get married, like, is there somewhere that's like special to us but would still be like a fun place to go? You want to get married somewhere unique because it, you know, might be your one opportunity to have like a killer party at that place. We're getting married at Leroux Farm, which is the farm and inn where American Flatbread is located. It's like a super famous like wood fire burning pizza place. And we've gone there for dinner. It's like Megan's favorite place to go when she visits her dad, and they do weddings there. So she was like, man, if we got married in Vermont, we can stay at my dad's place for a few days before to like prep for the wedding. It would be free to stay at my dad's place. This one place is like really pretty, not super expensive, and we can have like a home base there, you know? So that's kind of why we picked Vermont. And then I was like, oh my God, what if Bernie Sanders officiates the wedding? And then that really sold us on Vermont.
Has his office gotten back to you?
I mean, I talked to his scheduling guy on the phone, and he said to send an email because that's where he does the actual booking from. I did not hear a response. Very surprised, but I will email again because I think I might have said on this show that we booked a date at this venue previously for like mid-July. And when they gave us the final invoice, it was like $6,000 more than they said. And they were like, oh yeah, for the fees and the, you know, paying for the service and the bar setup, bar tear down, bar stocking fee, like all this bullshit made it so expensive. So we canceled it, got our money back, We shopped around a bunch in Vermont and found out that everything was just as expensive, if not more expensive. So I called the venue again. I was like, look, I want to do it here, but we can't afford what you were offering before. So they took $1,000 off and we rebooked with them.
That's cool.
Yeah, and Megan ended up getting her dress secondhand. Like, it was, obviously worn once, and that saved $1,200. And we have a photographer friend of ours who's going to do free photography. So now we can actually afford the place. And Vermont is beautiful in June. And yeah, we were just trying.
Everybody knows that.
Right. So yeah, it came around. We were trying to save as much money as we could because we have for a wedding a relatively small budget to work with, and if we go under budget, we can put that money towards something else like a killer honeymoon or down payment on a house or whatever. So we figured we can save a couple $100 by staying at her dad's place and do it somewhere close to like a home base. So that's where Vermont came from. And it's East Coast, so it's driving distance, a long driving distance for both my family and her family.
How far is it from Erie?
Let me check. I think it's like 8 to 10 hours or something. I could be
How far is it from Arlington?
Could be totally off though. Well, if let me look, dude. Okay, so from my mom's house in Erie, PA to the venue, it is exactly 8 hours.
Okay.
And from my old apartment in Arlington, let me look. Triangle. Okay. And from Megan's mom's house, actually in Virginia, it is exactly 9 hours. So, and there's an airport close by in Burlington. So it's accessible for the most people that we know. It's like pretty in the middle of all that. So
okay.
So yeah, not bad.
Are you getting nervous or anything, or what's on your mind?
I want to get married like right now.
Just so you can get the move over with after that.
No, I'm excited, man. Like,
oh, nice.
I called her my wife once just to practice, and I got a little, I teared up a little bit. I was super excited. I don't know. I love her, obviously. We've been together like 4.5 years now, and I want it to happen. Like, I don't know. I'm just super excited. And also we, transitioning over to Tesla benefits. They're pretty dope. Wanted to get Megan in on that as well, although I don't want to marry her so she can get better health benefits, but it was a plus. And I thought, like, dude, let's just do it. I want to call you my wife, but we're gonna wait till June 23rd.
I suppose you are.
In your comment,
suppose
right?
you are. Yeah. Yes. I would.
You said that like, yeah, right. I'll be there.
No, I'll be there. I got a busy beginning of 2016, but that's not all that interesting.
You mean 2018?
Yep. What did I say?
2016.
Oh, 2016 would have been. It doesn't matter. Yeah, no, my dad's turning 60. My brother's graduating from college. Jesse's family is having like a reunion type thing in Oklahoma. And then lots plus your wedding in June. So the first half of 2018 is going to be fun. And yeah, log a lot of miles, I suppose. Anyway, I realized I was looking at like my budget on how to afford some of the plane tickets and things like that. And I was looking at how much I was spending on my health plan at work. And it was so comically high compared to what I, as one person, would need. So I think I hit the wrong button like a year ago. And I have been spending, just too much, I guess, would be. If
Will you tell me? I'll edit this part out.
Yes.
Okay.
I was spending like more a paycheck on healthcare.
A paycheck?
Yes. It was so humiliating.
Oh,
I know. I was wondering why I was feeling so pinched for pennies over the last year, not to mention flying to see Jesse. So a significant amount of money. And I was wondering how that happened. And I think I just thought I was signing up for like a little better, because I was trying to get a better deal on my inhalers, right?
right.
I thought going for a better plan would lower the cost drastically, I guess.
Yeah, but
because it made sense in my mind, right? Like, I was at a new company and I had to sign up for a new plan. I had everything settled at my old company, but it was a new company. I was signing up. I was like, well, I really wouldn't mind just like, I had a flawed understanding of how it worked. And yeah, I accidentally signed up for, anyway, we can start the show over again. Anyway, so in January, I'll start hopefully being able to snatch up a few flights to Burlington and whatnot. And I'm excited.
Yeah, dude, that's fucking crazy. Like,
yes,
so
it is.
when I signed up,
I figured
for my
that would
health
even
and-
out over the course of 12 months,
Right.
between the doctor visits I have to do to get my inhalers and things like that. And I was using it more at the time because Jessie still had her cat.
Sure.
And I was visiting and just like not breathing half the time, which was, detrimental to the air my body needs. Anyway, yeah, so everything should be fixed in January, which is nice.
Yeah, dude. So when I got hired by Solar City, I picked a healthcare plan, and I did the same thing. I picked like a middle of the road one, thinking
Right.
like,
You think the
this
middle
will
of
be
the
a
road
great
one's easy,
deal.
but it's like you should really look at the details of the cheapest one because it's probably, I don't know. It's just, I don't know.
So yeah, I went from spending like $100 a month on insurance with like a deductible that was so high I would probably never pay it down in a year. We just got switched over to Tesla benefits. My weekly premium, $5 a week. That is a $0 deductible with a $20 copay. So if I ever go to the doctor's, $20. If I need a prescription, $10 for $5 a week. And before I was paying like, I don't know, $25 a week for like a $4,000 deductible. So like if I want to go to the doctor, I'm just paying out of pocket. What is the point of paying for insurance?
I think I picked a middle of the road one that would be geared for like a sizable family on accident. You know what I mean? Like if I had several kids, I would have been totally covered for the past year, which was comforting just in case, But it is definitely my new plan is more appropriate. And
well, that's good, man.
A little closer to what you've been describing, I suppose. Because mostly I wasn't looking. I don't know. They try to build these websites and presentations that explain it easily to the employee, And perhaps I wasn't doing enough research. It was a busy year between doing distance with Jess and moving here, moving there, traveling, and just like anyway.
Yeah.
I went to go buy that first inhaler, and it was like it's still this much. I'm like, son of a. Like to breathe and like okay, all right. Well, there's two kinds, right? So like when I was flipping the house in Albuquerque with that one dude I was living with, Casey, he was letting me live for cheap rent, and I would cut tile and help him lay it and stuff. And the particles that were floating around in the air every time he turned on the heating system would just kick it up, and I would just inhale all that shit overnight. So I went to emergent care. One night I actually broke into Jesse's apartment because I had left my inhaler there. So I was like gasping for air driving across Albuquerque at high speeds. And I broke in and she was like freaked out. She like called me like to say there's somebody in my house. I'm like, it's me. You know what I mean? Like, don't shoot. But I like I didn't have enough air to really scream. So I just, anyway, so they were like, have you ever tried doing the disc puffer that like is preventative, like a steroid, right?
Right.
They call it corticosteroid or whatever. Anyway, just, when you're about to enter situations like a family member's house that has many pets or something, stuff that usually sets you off, dander, moldy basements, things like that. Those are like 4 times more than the usually $45 rescue inhalers. So,
oh my God.
So those, I thought that's really what I wanted to get down because at the time when I was doing the house flipping work and then visiting with Jessie and her cat a lot. I was like, I'm going to need this, right? I guess this is my life now. Anyway, I moved and things got better, and especially they're better now for sure. All the while, I had this health plan that wasn't helping anyway. So, anyway, so that's
That sucks,
my last
dude.
3 years in breathing, folks.
Oh,
This is,
God.
you tune in for the good stuff. This is anyway. Well, I'm mostly just excited to show you Cincinnati, man. I think there's a lot to be said for being near people that know you and love you, and you can make new friends here as well. I think Kyle and Kylie being here makes me feel more comfortable saying keep your mind open about it, because they're also friends of yours and also friends of
Right.
Megan's. Or no?
I mean, they haven't talked too much, but they like each other.
There you go. Well, there you go. Yeah, so we'll see. I guess we'll see. I would sign a 6-month lease and prepare yourself to be ready to. Maybe you don't have to go to Denver after the wedding or something.
True.
That's a lot. That's a lot, but I mean, like, it already feels like a lot, right, for you?
Yeah. Before we hop into the segments, did you want to touch on Ron Carnage for like a second?
Oh, yeah. I was wondering if you wanted to just dump out what we had for fans of the show to enjoy if they want.
Right. So we have 3 volumes, about 25,000 words, right?
Yeah, more or less.
Okay. See, I want to, because I want people to read it, but I'm also worried that like it could hurt us if, I mean, dude, this is far-fetched, but like if someone wants to publish it someday, they won't want to publish something that's already been published, and we might publish it just so 3 people can read it. You know what I mean? It's a hard one. I think what I'd rather do is print out like a really rough version of it and, like you said, like send it to people, like not actually put it on the internet.
Right. Because you've gotten joy out of it. It sounds like.
Oh my God. Yeah.
The team here at Elemental has had some fun with it over the past few months.
Yes.
It's drawing to a close. I mean, we're almost to the point where the story will wrap up. 50,000 words will creep up pretty soon, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you follow the story. It seems like the heroes are going to return to a thing and face the dudes and think really hard. Ron the Thinker Boy.
Right.
Lots to be pondered.
There's a lot.
There's a nerdy octopus now has become a main character.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. He's hella in there. I love how he entered the scene. As a permanent member, I'm excited to see where it goes. We are looking into Nerdy Octopus plush dolls. I wanted to get you one for Christmas so bad, dude, but the girl won't be able to make them until like after Christmas.
That's all right. Give it to Kylie and have her make a scene out of it.
That would be so cool. And actually, yeah, it's someone that Kylie knows too who's gonna be making them. Kyle recommended her. So
Gene the nerdy octopus.
Gene the nerdy fucking octopus. It's good stuff. Yeah, so if you want to read, how about this? If you want to read the first 3 volumes of the story, maybe we'll put it in like a password protected section of the website. We'll give you the code. You can go and check it out. Let us know what typos we've made and whatnot.
There you go. Crowdsource the proofreading.
Right. You want to go into the segments?
I would want you to give a quick go back through everything we just talked about and tell me, recap it so I know where you're at in your head in terms of a timeline for moving, where you want to go. Because this is the moving episode. This is something you texted me today and said you wanted to go over.
Sure. Yes, my main
Did we
goal.
accomplish anything?
I think so. I mean, my main goal is to make more money, spend less money, be around people that I love. My main concerns are: did we give Denver enough of a chance? Can we afford to give it more of a chance? Megan has some pretty good friends and a pretty okay job that she's doing right now. Don't really want to pull her away from all that. Obviously, she would agree to anything we decide on. Cincinnati sounds cool. I do feel a little lame for considering moving back closer to Erie, even though I know the two aren't really
But why?
related at all. I don't know. Just I don't want to feel like I'm moving back home, even though it's still like 5 hours away, right?
Yes. And it's
I
in a
don't.
different state. And
I,
it's not
I
near the Great Lakes.
I do feel a little weird about like moving east. I feel like the natural progression of where I saw my life going was further and further west.
Well, then go further west.
But I don't know but I don't think I want to. Like I'm talking about like me 10 years ago, you know. I don't know. I don't think Denver's as cool as I thought it was, but I think it's my fault. And I said I would give it at least 3 years, but I don't think I can fucking afford to. Is
Yeah.
what I'm getting at.
Yes.
So yeah.
Well, hopefully you figured out.
Yeah.
I feel like I've said all I can say. I'm hoping you and Zach enjoy your visit.
Yeah, I just took the 8th
I think you're
off.
not wrong that you going to LA might be the smart move because you could probably make a good amount of money doing audio work out there.
But I think, yeah, I don't know.
I could sit here all day and be like, cost of living is cheaper in the Midwest, and everyone listening would be like, no shit. Like, why are we listening to this? And I'd be doing you a disservice by not just also mentioning out loud that obviously there's career opportunities that are probably more fruitful in other towns. Not that there wouldn't be any similar work here or even in Denver, but worth mentioning nonetheless. Good luck. Hopefully Megan provides a good amount of direction, and I hope you guys are able to think on it, and good luck. Hopefully your current lease is not too much of a bugaboo, thorn in your side.
God. Yeah. The one request that Megan does have, she was going to research some herbalism stores in Cincinnati, and she just asks that I can stop in to the one that she picks out and see if it's any cool.
Okay.
Is any cool a phrase? Any good? That sounded super weird coming out.
I know what you meant.
All right, well, let's move on. I have something for you to chew on for our segment called Now You Know.
Go for it.
All right, so this is usually I try to give something like scientific, something fun, like something you probably never would have thought of. But this one is just stupid and it's really funny. So I install solar. I work on a roof. You know what shingles are, right? It's like little tiny rocks that are basically tarred to this sheet. And the little tiny rocks are called aggregate. And I found out the other day that when that aggregate becomes loose and is just these loose rocks kind of things on the roof that make it really slippery, they're called shingleberries.
That is incredible.
Like, I don't think like officially, like that's not the actual term for it, but like people call them shingleberries, and it's just, oh my God, man, I was losing my mind.
So we've been talking for an hour, like, and I'm really like, we took it down a peg and was like, man, what's best for Tom, like career-wise, life-wise? And then it was
And then I
worth
come
it,
at you
I
with
guess is what I'm trying to
shingleberries.
say. It was worth it to hear anything that rhymes with dingleberry. Like, it's an industry standard, like widely understood. Like, oh man, I almost slipped on my own shingleberries and fell to my death.
So there you go. Don't slip on any shingleberries.
That's right. Well, that's a hell of I like it. I like that factoid.
All right, we can move on. That's a quick one. What was your highlight of the week?
Well, Kevin is visiting, my good friend from Erie.
Ooh.
That I probably said a couple episodes ago that my parents visited. Kevin's visiting for Thanksgiving, and we're going to go to a Browns-Bengals game here in Cincinnati. And then you and Zach are going to visit shortly after that. So, and then my sister's flying home for Christmas, so I'll probably zip up to Erie for that as well. So just feeling very loved and very nice to have Oh, we went to see Nick Offerman, Chris and I, a friend from college.
No way.
I didn't. Way. He was very nice and just bought the tickets kind of on a whim and was like, "We're going, man," and then realized that he didn't really ask if I wanted to go. Nick Offerman's not really known as a good stand-up, and it was a bad show, but he sang a song that was similar to what George Costanza has done, acts that are like, I'm not George, right? Or, sorry, Jason Alexander.
Right.
So he did one of those types of songs at the end of the act, which is worth it. I'm not Ron. It was funny, whatever. Like Jesse and I really love stand-up, and, we're going to see John Mulaney in Columbus and Brian Regan and just stuff like that. But we're glad we went. We got to go see the Taft Theater downtown, and we spent a really nice evening with Chris and his new wife, Tosh. So yeah, just feeling loved, man. A lot of good visits, logging a lot of good times, which has lately been what I've been trying to prioritize. So,
heck yeah.
And yeah, after that, it'll be a little bit of penny pinching, entering the 2018 Gauntlet of Doom, in which I have to buy like 17 plane tickets. But until then, I'm going to eat, drink, and be merry and worry about that later.
Well, I was looking, I need to buy a new laptop, which is unfortunate. It's going to be like $1,200 for a mid 2012 maxed out MacBook Pro. And I didn't want to max out the one credit card I have, which is a pretty low limit, but I thought I would get a new credit card that has air miles, because they usually give you a huge bonus for your first purchase. So I might be able to kind of get myself in a good situation for some cheap flights. I don't know if you want to make a big purchase on a new credit card necessarily, but
I personally?
Thought I'd throw it out there so I can relate to the story.
Oh, well, I appreciate it. No, I have a credit card through the bank I'm with, and I only did it because Jessie thought it'd be a good idea, but she's regretting that because now I'm just, I'm still understanding how it works with how much I make. Right. I've lived in 2 cities, 2 apartments, and had 2 different jobs in the year. I think now it's officially a year I've had the card. So I have no grasp on the appropriate amount of times to use. I don't know.
Right. So we're all learning.
I don't know. Before I got it, I was like, would save up and just pay for what I could afford.
Right.
Which seemed like a good system. And everyone kept telling me like, dude, you need to build credit for a house, man. And so far, it's brought me nothing but stress. So fuck everybody. I hate you all. You're slowly ruining my life. Existence is a pain actively. And it's more stressful than it's worth often. And I'm feeling like, I don't know, just smoke them if you got them, I guess. Anyway, what was your highlight of the week, Tom?
So that highlight of the week tanked real fast. It was great, though. It was a good highlight of the week. Of course, always going on.
Yeah, Ron Swanson was, cool.
All right, good. So I kind of had a lot. Like this week,
the highlight of the week was spending as much time as possible with friends and family.
Yes,
and that has been good for the soul. Chicken soup. It's been my own personal brand of in-person chicken the soup, without having to read inspirational stories in a series of books from the late 90s and early 2000s.
Wonderful. Yeah, mine's kind of.
It wasn't like chicken soup for the teenage soul per se. It was definitely more of a chicken soup for the young adult soul.
Okay.
I'll stop. No, sorry. Go ahead.
So my highlight's going to follow a similar theme. Just good time with Megan. We had Saturday night and Sunday together. She drove a Tesla Model X on Saturday. That was fun. We went to a kickboxing class on Sunday. That was a lot of fun. And also today, I just found out that a coworker of mine, the one guy who I was really good friends with, he was gone for a month and he just came back today. Wasn't sure if he was going to. He's a buddy of mine, and also he helps drive the van. So on days that I need to edit, he can drive and I'll edit. And I haven't had that luxury for the past month, so really stoked he's back for the good times and for the ability to edit on the road and have some more time to spend with Megan. So yeah, Thanksgiving is coming up and we have a 4-day weekend, and I'm just ultimately Really stoked to have more time with Megan for that.
How has she been?
She's all right. I mean, she's only getting 1 day off a week. She's working a lot, doing some photo projects.
That's nice.
Really excited about the wedding. She's had to order her shoes 4 times now because the company keeps messing it up. And then they just sent it to our old house in Virginia on accident. They didn't ask her for the shipping address and just sent it to the billing address for the fourth try. But she's having fun with it. It's a good story. Yeah, she's doing all right. She needs a little more time off, a little more money like we all do, but it's been okay. So
you know what I should start doing is drinking Ginny Lights like Cameron Wazorik's dad. Maybe that's the key to personal wealth, is only ever drinking Ginny Light.
Super cheap beer, is that what that is?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Like, I guess probably more than just a Rust Belt middle-aged men beer, but anyway, just wolf them.
Try it.
And try to flip a house and like never quite be finished with it. That was kind of their MO. And they lived in this gorgeous house, but there was always like one part of the kitchen that was never quite.
Yeah.
There was always a tarp
big
in
piece
the
of
kitchen.
plywood, the tarp.
Yeah. So Ginny Lights and get a house that's a work in progress might be the key to my personal euphoria. Anyway. Song of the week. Yours was Another Story So Far tune called Nerve. I did not like it.
Really?
But if you asked me to go to a pop punk show, I would go with you. I like their song Empty Space, but I don't like the song Nerve.
I feel like they're so similar.
I don't know. Hey, man, music is it's what you feel, man. I don't know. I didn't like it. Sorry.
Okay.
I feel like I've been listening to a lot of your pop punk recommendations, and again, we keep giving each other, like, I keep giving you like beachy sounding guitar songs, and like you're gonna like them, and you're not gonna, and you keep giving me very similar sound. You know, I like the one from that Seaway band or whatever.
Yeah.
Is that their name, Seaway?
Yeah.
That was good. What was the name of that one?
Stubborn Love.
Stubborn Love, that's right. That was pretty good. It's catchy. You know, this one is like, makes you too aware of the lyrics quick, and I'm like, damn, it's just so much stuff to feel, and a lot of effort.
Okay.
Not that I don't know. I sound like an idiot. Like
I listened to Pills by St. Vincent. You know, I like the verses a lot more than the chorus. I think I get the vibe of what she's going for, and I get it, but I musically, or I guess melodically, not super vibing it, but I get why people would like it.
Yes,
sure.
I don't like a ton of her stuff, but she has this like, there's this YouTube video out there where her and Andrew Bird are in like France in like the attic of a coffee shop, like, and they play a set together, and it's really like, it's an acoustic, very nice, beautiful set. And yeah, I don't know, very intriguing artist for sure. Actually, I was listening to this song Now off of Marry Me by her, and that's very interesting and very different. I guess a friend had tipped me off to some of her early stuff was a little less techie and a little less intense and in your face, I guess. I don't know enough to really comment on it.
Right.
Anyway, yeah, I've wanted to hear your thoughts on it. Pills is just like a hit. Like, obviously, it's not that different from Digital Witness, a hit off of a recent record of hers. Just like, the way we live could be bad. You know, it's like, okay, we kind of get the message, but anywho.
Gotcha. All right, well, what do you got for me this week?
Well, if I could get a drum roll, I'd feel a little more respected here. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do it. No, it's going to explode. I'm a groover. Oh, very cat-like. Please stop. Actually, it's distracting. The drum roll is distracting. It's very kind of you to do it and then put up with me immediately being haunted by it for the rest of my days. I already gave you Maggie Rogers. I've really just been listening to her lately. I'm going to go, have I given you Dog Years or just Alaska by Maggie Rogers? But you already said you didn't like Maggie Rogers.
True. Just do it. Whatever. It's for the listeners too.
True. Sure. I'm gonna force you to revisit Maggie Rogers because I don't think you really did the first 2 times.
Okay.
Did you? Did you?
Yeah, dog years.
Well, no, you already did. Here, you go first. I'll think of something.
Okay, so you're gonna hate this one, but there's a band I just discovered called Architects. They're not new or anything, but they've just slipped by my radar. There's a new single called Doomsday. Super catchy. It's a bit heavier. The music's pretty heavy. But it's good. I don't know. There's something about it that I've really been vibing lately, and I listen to a song on repeat for several runs at a time.
Noted. And I have realized mine. Emotions and Math by Margaret Glaspy.
Okay.
It's from 2016, so it's not, I guess, necessarily new, but I have been vibing with that song recently.
Awesome. Got it.
Yes. Well, I hope this was helpful for you. This was definitely not one of our topic-induced or topic-fueled
Sure.
showy shows, but it's definitely kind of a throwback episode in the sense that
This is what the whole thing was built on.
yes, the house that I wish I knew something that rhymed with heaven. The house that something other than heaven built.
The house that
Levi built or something. Anyway, should we put it out of its misery?
Yeah. Also, Kyle,
which I've said before. I'm not like open. Right? Is that a catchphrase? Should we make a T-shirt?
put it out of his misery.
I don't know. Yeah, no, that'd be a weird T-shirt for in any scenario. Like, there's no inside joke that would save that shirt from the everyday interactions. Should we put it out of its misery? Like, so many. It'd be such an instant like listicle. Like, all the times small time podcasters f***ed up and really said stuff just to get noticed, and it was really twisted. And it should be. Anyway, don't make any shirts. No shirts. But unless you're walking into a store that demands you wear shirts and shoes, then you should wear shirts, but not necessarily a shirt with that design on it. Anyway.
Perfect. I just want to say before we get out of here, Kyle, you are also the highlight of my week.
Yeah, me too, Kyle.
Yeah, you're the highlight of everyone's week because you are the f***ing man.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, I will talk to you later. Thank you for giving me some clarity on oh God, I can't fathom moving, but it'll happen someday, and
I think it would be a good thing. And then if you came here, Zach would come, and we could try that thing we've always talked about.
Oh yes,
but more on that later.
Love you, man. Later. All right, love you too, dude. See ya.